talk about Norwich City and the game against Arsenal tomorrow, then please do text Future, then your message to 60066, email studio@futureradio.co.uk, via the website use the instant messenger, or of course tweet at Future Radio. We'd love to hear from you. But we're going to get straight into something a little bit more local. Norwich Rebels Touch Rugby Club play on Sundays at Eden Park. It's a sport that we certainly don't cover very often here on Sporting Brunch, and something that, well, it's about time we put that right. So I'm delighted to say that Russell House from the Norwich Rebels is here with us in the studio. Good morning, Russell.
Good morning, Phil.
Brilliant to have you here. I guess the first thing we need to do is establish exactly what touch rugby is as opposed to any other form of rugby.
Okay, well, I like to think of touch rugby as rugby with all the best bits and all the kind of slow, boring, complicated bits taken out. So it's got no scrums, no line-outs, no kicking. It's all about passing and invasion. So it's very fast, have very few stoppages. So we have six, quite a big pitch, but we have 6 players on at a time. But we have squads of 14, so there's lots of substituting. So you get on, run yourself ragged, and get off after a couple of minutes. Unlimited subs. So it's basically just all about passing, evasion, running. The great thing about it is there's no tackling like in rugby, so it's just a touch. The tackle's just a
So if you get touched, you have to stop.
You stop and you put the ball between your feet.
In the same manner. So basically what you're saying is in rugby league,
yep,
when they get tackled, they have to stop, put the ball between their legs and pass it to a teammate behind them, and that's exactly the way you do things in touch rugby.
Touch rugby is very, very similar to rugby league. You get touched, you put the ball down between your feet. The defensive team has to retreat 5 metres. So it's very similar to rugby league in that way.
That sounds quite interesting, but touch rugby, you say it's fast and furious. What sort of people play it then? Because, rugby is traditionally a male-oriented sport, although, of course, there's a lot of ladies' teams around these days. So what sort of people play touch rugby?
Well, that's the other good thing about touch rugby. It's really open to anyone. We've got, at the moment, we've got players, both sexes, men and women, probably about, I think we've got 50 members at the moment, and it's about 20 of those are women. And it's suitable for both because there's no contact in there other than the very light touch. We've got mothers and daughters playing, fathers and sons playing, people from 15 up to 60. It's really, really inclusive. The people there, we've got some like first team rugby players that come and play with us in the summer, and they just involve everyone. They don't.
When you say first team rugby players, do you mean from some of the local teams that actually play in the full-blooded sort of rugby union locally?
Yeah, we actually run the Norfolk Touch League in the summer, which is open to any team from across Norfolk. So it's really the Norfolk Championship, and that attracts players from Norwich Rugby Club, from Wyndham Rugby Club, from the team that won it this year were from North Norfolk, so based around Holt and Fakenham. So. Yeah, we've got all sorts of players. It's just I'm not quite sure why it works, but it just does work. It just attracts everyone.
So if you've got a load of people there of all ages, how do people get involved in this? I mean, where exactly do you do your touch rugby?
We play on Sundays. We're down at Eaton Park. Sunday mornings from 10 until about 12 o'clock, and it's open to anyone, so anyone can just come along and give it a try. First session's free. And then the other great thing about it is it's really cheap. It's just at £1 a time, and we don't. What we don't do is we don't try and get people to make a big commitment. So it's free membership. You can come and play when you like, so you can sort of dip in and dip out.
I'm guessing that there must be some sort of rules or some sort of association with this. Is there some sort of pyramid so that if you've got a team in Norfolk that are particularly good, or you can put together a Norfolk team, shall we say, are there any sort of national leagues that you can get involved in?
There is a national league run by the England Touch Association. It's something that we're aiming to get into from next season onwards. It's quite high level. They attract a lot of international players.
And how long have you been going?
We've been going since 2009 and growing steadily.
So you've got 6 aside on a pitch. I think you said to me before it was 50 metres long and 70 metres wide.
70 metres long, 50.
As I said, I thought that's going to be the wrong way around. Yeah. So I'm assuming then that you score a try in the normal fashion?
Yeah, you score a try in the same way.
Now you also said there was no kicking, so do you get to convert your try?
No conversions.
No conversions at all?
No.
All right.
Slows the game down too much.
Okay, and the other thing, of course, you said there was no line-outs and no scrums. If the ball goes out of play, if there's no line-out, what do?
We just come in 5 metres and start the game with a roll ball, which is basically what you do when you tackle as well. So you just put the ball between your feet and carry on.
All right, and you mentioned there that you had a summer league,
yes.
Which is obviously pretty competitive from what you're saying and that. But what happens during the winter? Do you run a winter league, or is there something a bit more formal, or is that just the sort of training?
Well, we carry on training. We also train at Lakenham Hewitt Rugby Club on a Thursday night, and we just enter tournaments and we have friendly games. So I think next Sunday we've got a friendly game with the UEA.
Okay, so it interests me that you're at Eaton Park on a Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. You put together, do you actually then sort of select your best team from the Norwich Rebels, from the people that are playing? And do you then sort of, have you got, within your structure of your club, have you sort of got a pyramid?
Well, the way we work it, as I mentioned before, we run the Norfolk League. In that league, we actually enter 2 teams. They're not based on ability. What it's based on is the more serious players who want to make a bigger commitment are in the sort of A team, if you like. And then the other team is more a social team of players that come in and come out. So it's not, as I say, it's not based on ability. It's just more based on commitment. That's the way we do it.
And touch rugby is not something that we see an awful lot of. Is it played in any of the schools locally, or is there an opportunity for the schools to get involved?
Last summer, we actually set up a schools competition that I was quite heavily involved in, that we ran down at Lakenham Hewitt Rugby Club. We had, I think we had 5 teams in there, 5 schools involved in that. One of them being the school where I work, which is Spooner Road Primary School. It was a great tournament. The kids just picked it up. It's they were years 5 and 6, and they just got touched straight away.
And so do you, I mean, within your setup, you said that there's, one of the nice things about it is the fact that almost like the family can get involved. You've got mothers and daughters, or fathers and sons, or fathers and daughters, or whatever else. Now, do you actually have a children's league?
We don't at the moment, but that's certainly something we're aiming for. I think the thing we're trying to do is get it into schools first, and then sort of set something up after that.
Now, very swiftly moving over to Dan, I think, Dan, I heard you say earlier on that you did actually play touch rugby at school.
Yes, I did, and that was a few years ago now, Phil, in excess of 20, and a few more. But it was. I found it really an engaging and exciting sport, and the comment about not having conversions really does help, because it does take too much time if you're going to be stopping and setting the ball up and everyone's waiting behind the post and that kind of thing. So yeah, it was just, it's in some ways, I'll tell you what it reminds me of, a little bit like a basketball match, where it's one end to one end to one end to one end continuously like that.
Okay, so Russell, if people want to get involved and actually take part in touch rugby with you guys, how can they find out more? Is there a website or something like that they can go to? And I think you mentioned earlier, but it's worth revisiting. Can they just turn up?
Yeah, there's a website. It's norwichrebels.com, and that'll give you a link that you can email me on, which is just contact@norwichrebels.com. Basically, you can come down any Sunday or Thursday night and just give it a go.
Well, we look forward to your growing subscription, your growing membership. We hope that down at the UEA tomorrow morning, there'll be 1 or 2 new faces amongst the crowd getting involved in the touch rugby. And as you heard Russell say there, if you want to know more about touch rugby, go to norwichrebels.com, or of course just turn up on a Thursday evening at Lakenham and Hewitt Rugby Club, or on a Sunday at Eaton Park. Whereabouts in Eaton Park are you?
We're between the boating pond and the skate park.
So over on the sort of South Park Avenue side, I think that is, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, well, we look forward to it. Thanks very much indeed for coming in and telling us all about touch rugby. Hopefully that will go from strength to strength. This was the best I could do with regards to a track to go with touch rugby. Touch me there with the 49ers. I couldn't really resist, to be quite frank with you, to find a track that went there with the Touch Rugby, and we're just talking to Russell there as he was going out of the studio. And for anybody who is thinking about going down and getting involved within the Touch Rugby environment, don't be put off by the fact that you might get thrown on the pitch and come up against some 6'6" giants or whatever. They have a good number of coaches down there at Norwich Rebels, and you're sort of taken to one side to start with on a more individual basis and given some proper coaching and everything else before you get on the pitch with some of the big boys, and it's more of an integrated process, which sounds like they've got it really, really well sorted out. So Eden Park tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, bright and early. Get down there and have a go at Touch Rugby. We're going to move on